Allegiance of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I have taken the roll. Thank you. The Vice President has taken a roll by sight. Everybody is here. I'm going to call this meeting of the County Water District Board of Billing Sites to order. Present tonight are board members, our general manager, Bo Anderson, our assistant manager, Josh Simpson, and no guests, so I will dispense with the president's remarks. And public comment. And item 6, directors' responses to questions. Item 7 is approval of the agenda. Can I have a motion?
I make a motion, we approve the agenda.
I'll second that. Is there discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is minutes. They were in the agenda packet.
I move to approve the minutes.
Both sets.
Yep.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Ewald, second by Graves. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of approving the amendments indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion adopted unanimously.
I made the motion.
It was-
second.
I'll slow down, Doug.
She made it fine.
Okay,
Oh,
we will move to the consent agenda, item number 9. Are there any requests? Do we want to do separations for questions, or do we just want to do questions? Director
Well-
Ellis.
Well, I did submit questions, but none of them were answered. So there's no point in asking them tonight, but I would like them answered. I mean, I got a response, but it wasn't responsive to the questions.
Oh,
So I'd support, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
second.
thank you. Is there discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of adoption of the consent agenda indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion adopted. So that motion was made by,
That was made by Ellis. Seconded by Ewald.
okay. Great, and you've got that down. Okay. Next we'll go to item 10. Manager's report. Mr. Anderson. General Manager Anderson.
Okay, yeah, one is the regular report. And then under 10A, the presentation of proposed budget amendments on page 56. Is there any questions so far?
Director Ewald.
I got a question on number 361 on the budget.
Yep,
It's repair, maintenance and contract services. And it
Yep.
shows in February, we spent $43,000. And I went back and looked at all of Susie's bills that she sends to us to approve, and I couldn't come up with anything that added up to $43,000.
But, oh, you're looking at page,
Page 56. As a consent of the agenda packet. And 361 on the budget.
that's really the heart of the whole overrun this year is that object account 361. And I have a detail of each one of the expenses.
What was it for February? You're showing $43,000 in February. What was it that we did in February to add $43,000?
We,
Tell us bills.
yeah, we had three bills from Tellus. And 132,000 and 3,000 that have been paid.
why would they be in 361?
They services. There's a lot of things in that account. And including the excavation. On Main Street, we have Blue Creek excavation, 23,000. Castle Rock, 16,000. Total excavation in 361 is 40,000. And Rough Tillers is 52,000.
So when I'm looking at this, I'm looking at 361, it says repair and maintenance contract service.
Yeah, contract.
Reptalis has nothing to do with repair and maintenance.
No, but it's in that contract service. It's if you look at the number of things in that account, from
And so
well,
then,
even our secretary is in here.
Well,
so
actually,
then if you go up to number 236, it says water main and line repair.
Yeah,
Wouldn't that be
Parts.
where Blue Creek and Castle Rock Construction, wouldn't that be where?
No, because
That's
that's
part-
that's parts.
That's water main and line repair.
That's parts and fittings.
It doesn't say parts and fittings, it says water line and main repair.
But that's what goes in there is parts and fittings. So if we have to go buy pipe or couplings or curb stops, that's what goes in there.
It's pretty hard to follow what's getting spent when we.
well, you really have to know the detail, Frank, and I will send you this detail on the 361. It's an array of different things, and you might want to take out contract services, because that is a little different than excavation. I mean,
Yeah,
they're not in the same pew.
No, I think the point of a financial report is to show you what's going on. And when you've got things that aren't logically grouped or logically titled, I think we need to either create some different accounting numbers, which can easily be done,
Those are the part, that's the,
or, we adopt some rules for, who's making the entries on what goes under which account, because I agree, if I'm buying parts, it should say parts, if I'm repairing something,
You have excuse me, Jeff, but you have parts for equipment
Mhm,
and you have parts for
right,
capitalized stuff.
exactly, and so each of those should have a separate account.
We could send you a list of the chart of account that we use and take a look.
That would be a good place to start.
Yeah,
That's an
I
excellent suggestion.
and I'll send you this, and then you can see that based on what's done and historically, it's a little different. But even Carolyn services are in this account.
What services?
Carolyn
Oh,
Baker,
secretary.
they're in the contract service?
no, she's on the council.
She was up in the.
Is that where you live? She's here.
What would be also really useful is if we ought to be able to get a hot link onto this page so we can click on that number, because on my accounting software, I can click on that number and it'll bring up the transaction report, and then I can see it all. And that's how I find mistakes when I misclassify things. I make mistakes and misclassify things. Typically, it's cleanup in December time. This year was January, but anyway, that's what we kind of need to be thinking about.
But I'll send you a chart of the account, and we have in Black Mountains, you can go in and look at that object, that number 361, and get a complete printout for a month or the detail. And that's what I did here, because reviewing this, 361 is the one that pops out as being an overage over last year. So,
Director Carey?
I would like to ask a question as far as Raptilus being in there.
yeah,
That's a whole different chip there, because that deals with the rates. And that should actually be put in. Because if it's used or if it's not used, it ends up in the rates.
right, but it's contracted services. So it has to do with rates, but you hire somebody under a contract and it goes under this account. Or has been anyway, in the past.
So can I ask, so Josh went and got a list, so Josh, is that list from? It's what you use, but is there any reason why that's the one we have to use?
That's the BAR's chart of accounts. That's the standard
Right.
accounting practices that, so
Okay.
under water funds, if you look into the accounting standards, these are the ones that are, that's the ones
Right.
that they have labeled.
Okay,
You need to be consistent with it.
So for standard
accounting
practices-
purposes, when we go in and look for the account. However, putting Carolyn with excavating,
Well,
the
yeah,
judgment needs to be revisited there.
and
The
legal services is
classification.
also contracted, but there's a separate line for legal services, but it's
Right,
it's in the chart.
but the cleaning services, for instance, for this place, $949 a month goes into this account as well.
So that may be, because we're still, is the point, the two that you pointed out were two from Raft Ellis, which comes to 35,000. So we're still missing 8,000.
Well, there are actually three Reptilis, 117, 13, and 132.
But for the month of
That's for
February,
the month of February.
There's 35,000.
Right, so where's the other 8,000 for February?
one of them was a $5,000 repair on a service truck that it was an insurance claim. So that was, the insurance company paid us the 5,000. We had the repair done and then we gave the 5,000. So that was a net zero,
Okay,
but it showed as a $5,000 expense.
Right.
There was we looked that up this morning. Did you print that? When we grouped them, it came out to that 42.
43,000. I sent you the detail on that.
except it didn't have any information. It just was another thing with numbers. It didn't have any detail about what it was spent on, which was
It had the vendor that it was paid to.
Okay, not when I opened it up, but I can look again.
I have it here, but rather than delay you guys,
Right.
I'll send you that and the chart of account on
Yeah,
how it's done right now. And as far as running a query, find out exactly what's going on in 360, it's very easy for us to do.
Well, it doesn't make much sense to me if you've got a whole bunch of accounts that have got $2 and $3 and $5 and $800 in them. And then you got one account where you need clarity and it's got all sorts of different entries and it's tens of thousands of dollars. So that, we got a chart of accounts as a place to start.
Right.
Either put some to work, so that we can.
We'll send you
The
that.
charges,
Because right now you got apples, oranges and pears in the one account. And you can never make an apples to apples comparison.
the charges,
And that's the whole point of having finance.
the charges in February were chassis works. The executive cleaning is in there. That must have been a billing because it's in there twice.
Yes, 949.
$949.
Charges.
Raptellis for the 3,000. St. V's, that was that one.
Well, here, this is it,
I
Karen.
think that was a
Healthcare.
This is.
That's right. That was $50.
It's for the items.
and the Raptellis for the 32, Carolyn's for 375, and then Peterson, the office equipment,
okay,
when they came and serviced the machine.
okay, so I'll look, I never
Okay,
saw that.
any further questions for the manager? Please. Keep the sidebars to a low rumble.
You can bring those other.
Further questions for the manager? You wanna go to item B then?
No.
Oh, you mean, excuse me?
Yeah.
What did you wanna cover next?
Yeah, I did not include this in my report, but it's not included.
This one first.
Let's
The
cover
CD.
what's on the agenda.
Oh, the service.
I haven't asked for things off the agenda.
Yeah, page 58. And that is the grant application that we worked on, with interstate.
Interstate.
And, what we're looking for there is an approval to spend the $8,200.
Okay. Can I have a motion to approve that?
I would do for approval, do we have, I have one written out.
That it's attached to page 58.
Okay, to approve the water main replacement from which the bidder rich.
No, this is
No.
the engineering services proposal and agreement.
Okay.
Yeah, page 58.
I have a question. We never saw what they prepared. We got the bill, but we didn't see the
The
application.
application,
That's gonna get covered in Director Carey's.
Okay,
Oh,
it is?
wait a minute.
This
Oh,
is
The
it.
CDS? I
Yeah,
thought I had forwarded that to
I
everybody.
think you did.
we got,
I thought I had.
yeah, I got the bill, but I haven't seen the application that they filled out.
yeah, they sent that out. I could send it to you, a copy of it.
Yeah, I don't think the board ever got it.
I looked at my,
I think it was someplace.
Jeff sent it
I
around.
think I sent it out.
That's for that. Oh, the congressional deal?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that, I have that here.
So for the SDF grant?
No, it's for the CDS congressional.
Oh, yeah,
Direct.
right,
That's
Right,
what
right,
we had to get 5 letters to send in.
Right.
That's what this one is.
Yeah, we're looking for approximately $500,000.
Yeah, he sent that out.
okay.
Yeah, and all the talking points and everything. I think it's pretty clear what we're asking for.
Okay,
It's
Yep.
a grant to pay for the second connection to improve system reliability and prevent infiltration of sediments into the water system due to low fire pressures during fires and, fire suppression efforts in that northwest pressure zone. So.
Yep.
May I have a motion to approve that execution of that
I
contract?
so move to approve that.
Motion by Ewald, second by Director Graves, had his hand up first. Is there discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of authorizing the execution of that contract, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Ewald and Graves. And I do, Bo, if you could send a thank you letter to
Great job.
Mr. Beam, in that short period of time, he did a good job and got it pulled together, so we appreciate that. I hope that our application is successful, so I want to thank the board members, particularly Director Ellis, who chased down a lot of letters of support,
yeah.
which are key, are a necessary item for pursuit of this grant, so. Okay, so we got 10-1B done.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes,
No,
Director Carey.
yes. On that. The way I look at it, we don't even need motion. The water district went out for the grant. We don't know if we're gonna get the grant. Once we get the grant, then we have to, because they're gonna give us $1.
Right.
Then we have to rule whether we're gonna accept that grant or not. So right now, there, in my mind, there should be nothing.
Well, we gotta agree to pay the engineer for his work.
Right.
That's what we just
That,
did.
Right.
that portion of it.
Right,
Okay.
yeah, that's all we're doing
That's it.
tonight.
Okay.
Good point. Next item, do we want to go back now to presentation of the proposed budget amendments on page 56? Do you have any specific proposals? I just see these spreadsheets with these chart numbers.
Well, the count 361, Frank hit it, the nail on the head, as far as the budget issues between this year and last year. And if you summarize the difference between last year and this year, year to date, there is about a 2.8% increase in the expenses, about 110,000. And what we just talked about is 145,000 out of this. So almost all of the differences is in that 361 account. Now, on the revenue side, during the same period, we have increased revenues 5.5%. So overall, budget-wise, I think we're sitting pretty good at a gross margin here of 808,000 versus 675 last year. That's a 19.6% increase, while expenses have increased 2.8. So there is no alarm, except that there's been a shift on where we're spending the money. And the trend is, unfortunately, with the legal and a few other things we're doing, I just want you to be cautious to make sure that we maintain that ratio between revenue and the expenses. So far, I do not recommend any changes other than you got to maintain the ratio between gross income and the expenses. And as I also mentioned in my report, I don't know if you picked up on that, that we are selling 6.1%, I think, less water. So the revenue from a volumetric standpoint of view is down, but because of the increase per 1,000 gallons sold, increased by the same amount, 6%. So you sell less apples, but you sell them at a higher price. You make the same money. So the problem with that is that our fixed expenses are increasing. So you're not covering it. So the idea of getting a bigger truck to sell more apples, it doesn't work, So you have to look at that. Now, anticipation of the rate study, I have done a lot of detailed study on last year as requested by a rate studier, if you will, that there are lots of opportunity for us to balance the rate classes. I won't go in on a detail, but there are lots of opportunities that I believe we should correct. That would also enhance our revenue. Right now, it's heavily rated towards the residential, the 5/8 to 3/4 inch ratepayer. It's subsidizing like the 2-inch and the larger accounts by quite a bit. So I prepared this all for our rate consultant, so he will see that, and it's pretty clear what the issues are.
Director Eval.
So going back to that 361, Bo,
Yeah,
probably about $70,000 in there is for repairs on broken water mains that we've covered in the last year.
40,000.
Well, it was 25,000 a hole, and we had 3 holes for sure.
We paid $40,430 to date for repair street. We have another one going on tonight at 9 o'clock on Main Street. Probably another 15,
We've done
20,000.
3 the calendar year, but 2 the fiscal.
Okay, so how much did we save a month on non-revenue water by fixing those leaks? So the net,
Oh yeah, no, that's a benefit. Oh yes.
we ended up coming out ahead.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and then I got one more question. We got $1.2 million in capital improvements.
Yeah.
What was that?
Well, this is why we need the CPA to take a look at our book, because all of let's say the Northwest Transmission Line, which is task order 28, which is converted to the second connection. In that account, there are probably several $100,000 worth of engineering cost that are yet to be capitalized. So that should be put on our books. That's the problem.
So we didn't actually spend 1.2
We
million?
did, but we haven't booked it. We haven't, it's not being depreciated. It's what you call a
Then that's
working process.
It's a kind of a suspense account.
Yeah, it's not good. It's gotta be brought to the
Okay.
books.
But that's engineering, and there's a special deal for engineering, isn't there?
Yeah,
Separate. There is an engineering fees, that's 350. 315, something like that.
so anyway, that's why you need to audit your book and close those accounts out. And they gotta be brought on the book and depreciate. We depreciate $750,000 a year, you know? And you could, and anyway, I won't,
So
it used to not hit the P&L. Interest on our debt service didn't hit our P&L state. We pay $7,000 a month in interest on our debt, 3.5 million. Okay, so you got to have a fiscal discipline to make sure that what's coming in and what we are spending on these projects has an end game. So at the end of the fiscal year, either capitalize or if they continue, it's not a good idea. And Project 28, Task Order 28 has been going on for 2 years.
Well, the auditors gotta follow
Right,
GAAP
absolutely.
accounting, so they'll do it, you know, I think we wanna. Keep, let them do this first year. They're trying us out as a client, so we wanna keep our, burden to them as low as possible. Let's just let them do their job. And then see what their recommendations are. And then if we've got knee deep, that may reveal things that they recommend we do a deeper dive on, and we can do that in 26, so.
Yep.
But I raised that issue when I spoke with them about when are you coming? We got a date, but we're basically, we're on probation, and we need to let them, trust them to do their job and hope to keep their services and get these things squared away. There is a difference, it's as a, when it affects this, although we're a nonprofit, but even in the profit side of things, the accounting has changed a lot. A lot of stuff used to have to be capitalized and then depreciated over time, and I'd get those entries. Well, now you can almost write off 100% up to certain big dollar levels, and I don't know what GAAP calls for our situation. I'm assuming the auditor does. Well, we'll see.
Right.
Thank you.
Josh, if you have something.
I was gonna answer Frank's question, maybe clarify anybody else's. The engineering fund that you were talking about, the engineering fees, those are, call them day-to-day engineering services. So hydraulic modeling, anything, if Bo and I call in and ask about, whatever the case may be. It's not project engineering. Project engineering goes into the capital side. Just the day-to-day, hey, I need the GIS updated or a map drawn up, whatever. That stuff goes into that engineering.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Let's move on to old business then. Board committee reports, audit committee, Director Ellis.
Okay, so I think I sent the information from the auditors. They're tentatively scheduled to be here May 18th. And they gave us 2 pages single spaced of all the items they need, plus 3 more documents to fill out. So basically, and they want that 3 weeks before they arrive. So it's gonna be a huge burden on the interim manager and possibly the Nadine. But it's probably important to get going right away because it's really a lot of information. The other question, which I'm not prepared to answer, but which we have to consider, if they're gonna be here May 18th, that's when our meeting is. And typically they said they'd be here 2 to 3 days. They spread out over the whole boardroom table. And I think we need to consider moving our meeting to the second Wednesday for May. Simply because we don't want them to have to pick up everything and then end up shuffling papers and getting lost. Unfortunately, May 18th is a best guess date. But if they are here on May 18th, I think we need to move.
I know
That's it. Pardon?
Then we do it differently too.
Well, they said they will physically be in the office for 3 days. And that's a pattern, is that they spread everything out. So,
I know in the past, when Summers McNair was here, we had the same issue. He
right,
was on board and Brian just moved the stuff out of the way.
yeah,
He knew it was a board meeting, so he shuffled around it.
Let's do this, Pam.
okay,
Why don't you contact them
okay,
and see, are you firm on that date? You know, discuss the potential conflict in terms of use of the facilities here with them. And if they say, yeah, we'd like to get spread out, then leave it out, lock it up and come back the next day. Then you can let us know, and in April, we can decide to
okay,
move our meeting. There'll be plenty of time to inform the public, you
okay,
know, and it'll just, well, the big thing it might impact is, well, we have two hearings on any rate increase, but those, they don't have to happen at regular meetings. So we could do a special meeting, a regular meeting, get that done, if that comes to that. So let's try that.
okay.
Any other questions for Director Ellis?
Well, we won't have a rate increase in May,
No, but we
So-
gotta adopt one in June,
yeah.
so. Okay, Director Ewald, report on consolidation study.
So I contacted Chris with the city and, he was out of town when I first contacted him. He got back in Monday and he responded to my email. Just a short little blurb, and no, they haven't hired a PW yet. So Public Works Director,
Director still vacant.
it's still vacant, and so we're kind of hanging in limbo and still. I sent him another email that says, still, do we need to reassess and had a different direction or something like that? And he goes, no, this is still top on the books. We just gotta get people in place to get after it again, so. That is the consolidation study report, and we're just kind of hanging in limbo, so.
Yeah, he did contact me on another matter, and in passing mentioned that Public Works Director DeRay had hired a consultant to examine the rate case of that issue, so they've hired a consultant for that purposes, so just think we need to be aware of that.
I said a question on that, or what was left to be done on the consolidation?
Negotiations. The biggest portion.
Do the negotiations have to happen before? Cause I know there was mention of doing a public presentation to the board and the city council. Is that still in the works?
Wait, he has not responded to my questions about that.
That's just, I know we've had people asking what the status is, and
Yeah,
we don't know either, so.
So far, everything in that report. It was a lot of stuff, but there was really nothing. To say how it's gonna come together if it does come together, and that's where the negotiations start. And we had a really good first meeting, and then Debbie left and it kind of went. It's just been in limbo ever since, but the first meeting we had was really good, wasn't it?
It was a good meeting and they were looking at employees and everything. They weren't trying to roll us over, I thought. So. But they've been dragging their feet pretty heavy since it.
Well, they just don't have public works.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
pretty tough to.
Yeah.
Is that something that you need to extend though? Cause I know the contract, the work was supposed
That's all
to
done.
expire December.
Yeah, no, we're-
They finished their work on.
that's done. Okay, thank you, Director.
You're still.
Ewald, next Executive Search Committee report.
Okay, I'm gonna turn the executive search committee over to Pam because she has been in contact with Mick and Greg both and secondhand information just isn't good, so I'm turning it over to the report.
Okay.
So I think most of the board.
That is recording secretary.
Yeah, right. I think most of the board is up to speed, but just for public knowledge. We did have 11 applications that came in from our posting. And I uploaded those to the shared document site. Those have been reviewed by both Greg and Mick. And they've sent emails to people, to some people saying, and I haven't seen the emails, I know you've got them. To some people saying, we've reviewed your application and we're not going to consider you as a candidate for this position. And to other people, they sent an email saying, you will be considered, and as soon as we get the profile up, you'll be asked to upload additional information to our website. So also going through them, we're hiring into a manager, and we do have a meeting on Monday to interview those people. So Tuesday.
That was, I got you on the wrong.
No, and then once I get it my head wrong, there it stays. So anyway, so things are moving along well. I think they sent a long list of documents that they wanted, both for the search and for the organizational analysis, and I did spend hours and hours and hours uploading those, and they've continued to write and ask for additional documents. So as they request things, I send it to them directly. So I think when they're here next week, they'll have a good understanding of what's in documents. So that's my report.
Okay. So did you have any requests from them in terms of response?
Yes, Monk, he sent in pre-interview questionnaires that we have distributed to all staff, and I think I got 99% of them back. And also for Josh and myself to fill out about 20 questions about the operation. So they informed us about their interview time, which I have relayed to our staff, so they know when they will be interviewed by them.
Great, and they've done this basically the same thing with us.
Right,
Have you guys filled out your responses yet?
yeah.
I'm gonna get an F for being tardy.
Oh, he
I
said-
have not, I better.
They
make
said, don't
myself-
spend a lot of time, just tell us what you know. Oh, I can send it to you.
Yeah, that's all. You got that? Send it
I'm
to
sure
me,
he'll
too?
follow up, I mean.
Cause I never got a response to fill out.
Okay, if you don't, I thought it went to everybody. Do you want me to send it to everybody with it? I've got the form downloaded.
Yeah, I never got.
Okay,
Mick Bunkin is very diligent. I mean, I had multiple emails from early Saturday morning
Right.
to late Saturday night, then again on Sunday, start again early on Monday, so guys.
well,
definitely work on
and there's been a blitz of emails,
Yeah.
so I suspect that everyone at this table has missed one or
it.
two.
I'm overwhelmed, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, and I'm sure he's very organized, so I'm
Right.
sure if they're missing something, he'll be pounding on our door to get it, so.
yeah,
Let's just, right. Be responsive, and that reminders for myself primarily, since I know I haven't done it before. Okay. Now, Director Carey, report on the SRF effort.
Okay, I will start with the SRF effort right now. Basically, that's our Main Street I'll just go through the problem. Two parallel water mains are located on Main Street. One segment installed in the sixties, the other segment in the eighties. The PER stated numerous leaks have been located in other water lines over the past years. However, the majority of the system water main breaks occurred on the cast iron pipe located on Main Street. There have been 12 breaks on the 6-inch and 10-inch pipe from 1990 to 2020. Their solution in the 2024 PER identified 3 alternatives to upgrade the system's distribution. One of them being replace the cast iron piping on Main Street. The 3 alternatives were assessed with respect to capital costs, construction feasibility, environmental impacts, public health and safety, O&M costs, and public preference or user rates, each within scoring matrix. Replacing the cast iron pipe on Main Street ranked second among the 3 alternatives. However, the other 2 alternatives were essentially the same. The total project estimate for the total bill is $13,220,000. Funding source through the SRF loan in the amount of $12,220,000. That we could get at 2.5% loan rate for 20 years. District is anticipated to be awarded in the summer of 2026. Then I went down and I took our current debt outstanding balances. We have one loan out at $183,000. One at 1.75 million and another one at 1.451 million. In other words, roughly $3.4 million. Break that down into payments. We pay approximately $367,550 per year. Okay. Now, as this project was submitted and the paperwork I have on it, on page 6, and it's highlighted in red. Will the interim loan funds be required as part of the project? If yes, how will they be used and coordinated with other funding sources? The answer is it's not anticipated that the interim loan funding will be required for the project. And then in red, interim financing is not anticipated since the district will utilize cash reserves for engineering and other pre-construction tasks. I would ask before this is sent in that somebody goes in Word and takes the red and turns it into black. Because you don't want that, it's flashing. We thought of something else. So
Or the
We can
applicant,
ask-
Those were the responses. That
We-
was the,
that's been corrected.
that's what.
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah, I think that came in.
that
late
came in
today.
more
late
severely.
this afternoon.
Oh,
Yeah,
both on E and F.
Yeah, we're responded to that. That's all.
I won't go over that again. This SRF project is an application only. If accepted, we will be notified and the board will then have to decide how to go forward or if to go forward. So really, there's nothing for the board to do. So this is just information only.
Well, they need to nod their head and make sure I'm okay to sign the application, because I'm gonna have to DocuSign it and get it in. Maybe first.
Right, that doesn't put us out of the loop or anything. It says we're asking.
Everybody okay with that?
so do you want us to make a motion so it's on the record?
Sure.
So I'll move that we direct the board president to sign the SRF application as presented by Director Carey.
Wait a second.
Okay.
Motion by Director Ellis, second by Director Graves, authorizing the president to sign the application. Is there discussion? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Okay,
Mr. President.
yes,
As you know, I'm an engineer. I like to calculate stuff. So what does this $13 million mean to our customers' monthly bill?
$7.97.
What?
$7.97. $7.97.
Eight something, it'll.
Yeah,
Oh, is it?
Like that.
a little more than that, but with the SRF loan, the 2.5%, 20 years, it sounds pretty good, but cash flow wise, it's a lot of money. But the administrative costs, RSRF loans, are administrative, and there are also some security component that adds up to $1,000, and is paid monthly too. So I just want to caution you to make sure that the rate study firm knows about this particular project and others,
yes.
because it will affect the rates tremendously.
Yeah, that's definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, debt service is a big component of any budget, whether it's a debt service at a home or debt service at a business, so.
Yep.
We'll make sure. I do have a question for Josh. We've got one leak on the east side down, must be on the corner by McDonald's, and then one, half a block up in front of Mackenzie River Pizza. The leak in front of Starbucks, that's on the west side as well?
Elmo.
The Starbucks one is the service line going to Starbucks off Lake Elmo.
Oh, so it's not off of.
Not on Main.
It's not on Main. So you have the two, so the one that the two on Main Street, one is a valve that was extremely noisy that Kevin was suspicious of. But it was 100 feet north from that valve was a definite leak that he was very confident in. And in discussions with him, we decided we were going to fix that leak first and then go back and listen to the valve to make sure that leak wasn't impacting the sound on the valve. So we may have to go back out and dig the valve. May or may not. And then we have that other leak that we found at the Starbucks service.
Which one are you doing tonight?
The McDonald's. So the leak 100 feet north of the valve.
Okay.
The Starbucks will do ourselves, because it's not, once you dig on Main Street, it's completely different equipment.
Right.
So you plan to do Starbucks.
Yeah.
And also the valve up here, correct?
Saratoga's.
Yeah,
They're
Saratoga.
doing that tomorrow.
Yeah.
Scheduled to do it tomorrow.
So 2 out of the 4 we can do ourselves.
Good, I'm glad you keeping trying to get ahead of that situation, so.
Yeah, and the problem here too, Jeff, I want to make it clear to all board members, we're fixing these pipes, but for every pipe we fix, unfortunately, there's another leak somewhere. So it's a never-ending game. But we know on Main Street, once we fix something, the torsion, the twist in the pipe changes once we break it, and the coupling we put in is not a mechanical coupling. They won't retain. So the pipe is now free to move with the soil and normally once you fix a pipe, you get another one somewhere, especially if the pipe is old. And as you know, most of our repairs are the tough tube, and they're the killer by 1,000 cuts. There are small leaks, and we have now started to investigate those. So Kevin did one particular area, which is an area where we've done a lot of repair. You can see the streets where we fixed it, and that unfortunately will continue. So my point here is to track the usage, the water flowing in, and the distribution of the water within district. And I monitor that every day, in the morning and in the evening. So I see the changes. And when there is a big change, it gives me approximate area of three areas: Hilltop, Ox, or Main Street. And what I had suggested to you guys is that we have 6 pressure zones that we put in insert meters. These are not very expensive meters. They're not very accurate. It doesn't matter. But these insert meters, we get more signals from the system. And then we reset it and we can see the changes. And when there is a change, say, hello, now at least we know approximately the geographic area. How much would this cost? I don't know, but I approached Interstate about it to pick location where we could put these in. Like I said, right now we have 3 that I track and any deviation, and there's only one that deviate a lot, and that is Main Street going filling the tank. So over 50% of the water that we use never hits our tanks. The 8 million gallon tank never sees it. And I would say at least 50% of our leaks have never seen the water in the tanks. So it is a challenge. And you have to monitor it all the time. This will never stop, guys. It will never stop. So you have to monitor, you have to have a monitoring in place. And what I'm suggested to John and Adam, who does our head hydrant inspector, is that in the spring now, when we start out inspecting the hydrant, that we do the ecologic, what is it, the word I'm looking for,
Correlator.
the correlator. So we got to check the hydrant anyway, right? So we check 2 hydrants at the time and do correlation between them. So it's going to take a little longer time, but at least we have a program in place to try to find leaks. And the additional cost probably wouldn't be that much. On paper, it won't be much. Labor-wise, yes, but we need to have a program in place. Okay, Bo, what's the big deal? Well, the big deal is that you're going to spend $4.7 million on water next year. And if you have the same rate you have now, loss rate of 4.7, that is $750,000 out the window that you can't sell, you can't use, but you have to pass it on to the customer. The customer does not want to spend $750,000. So there's a lot of money there you can use to fight this non-revenue water. So the other thing,
If you, well, I would suggest that you write a memo.
Yeah.
To the board and, whoever's coming in behind you, explaining what you've suggested to add for the fire hydrant policy, just so it's documented. And then, we can follow up with him and with Adam to make sure it's getting done.
but
Can you do
one,
that for us?
yeah, and one last thing is that, and I think you kind of recommended that, is that we have 25 sensors out there. We have 3 pod sites that we move all of those to the hydrants on Main Street. Main Street is our target. So we move all those sensors and calibrate them to what's going on. And any deviation is a heads up. And all that data goes directly to Ecologic. And you have this, you can see it too. The key is to calibrate them, to reset them, what's normal. And then they say, hey, this is not normal. So we will have, and I think that will help us. It won't cure the leaks, but it will help us catching them sooner and knowing that we will be spending $750,000 next year on leaks. Come on, this is a great opportunity. So we should solve it.
I've got a question for you. Since we're proceeding with the loan application for the SRF for the, which hopefully would cover the number 1 item, it'd be the big transmission line on the west side. Would it not make sense to put those sensors on the on the smaller main that's younger on the east side. Because, you know, if we're replacing the west side lane, we're, you know, you'd be developing a lot of data that 12 months from now, maybe, useless because we're digging up the pipe. So should we put it on the
The
east side and
The east side,
that way we?
we don't think we'll have problems with the east side for the next 10 or 20 years. Even though we're gonna replace the west side every month at $20,000 a month and I suggest we have them installed until we dig, okay? So, it's never too late to put them in. You gotta put them in now, okay? And not wait.
Director, you got?
And Gary, Gary, a question.
Oh, I'm
first,
sorry.
And then my question pretty much banks up what Jeff was just saying. When we put the new line in, is when, you know, when we should install those. You know, tearing up Main Street right now to put those lines in. If we go ahead with this in 27.
Yeah.
I think would be very expensive to put these holes into Main Street. And disrupt traffic, you name it.
Oh, yeah, but what I'm talking about is not, you talk about the flow meters, the insert meters. Yeah, I don't think they will be necessarily on Main Street.
No, he's talking about the
ones on the fire hydrant.
Echologic.
Yeah, no,
the
there,
Echo Shore that we're already utilizing.
there's no,
Those are
there's no
not invasive,
interruption.
they just drop on valves.
Yeah.
The only thing that we would have to do is if there is too long of a stretch between valves, would be pothole down, put like a valve box, whatever. But that's all stuff that would have to be talked with Echologics on.
Really,
it's
no expense.
It depends on the project timeline. If the timeline's gonna be stretched out a little ways, it would be better to monitor it now. So that we can detect if there is a leak, get on it, fix it, rather than lose, like Bo's saying. Bunch of water due to leakage, and then once it's repaired or once it's replaced, we can move them to the other side, you know, whatever it is.
So
But in the meantime, just monitor it in the meantime.
Right.
what have we paid for the Main Street repairs that we've done so far? Each.
About 20,000 or less.
Okay, so what's the leakage per month? We're trying to get rid of, if we got rid of 100% of it.
Well, you figure, I did some calculation earlier, but next year, $750,000, that's at 14%. And now our non-revenue water is going up again.
Well,
So we have a leak. So you can figure
60,000
at least 10-20,000 a month, easy.
And so is your asphalt repair. With the crude oil. That's figured in the home patch job and everything.
Is it the traffic control, the asphalt repair, all that's in the 20?
They just pass the cost on.
Okay.
A lot depends on, there's a big cost difference here if we have a gas line.
Gas main.
Here we don't. We'll run into a gas, sometimes the gas line is right over our, which means we can't dig, so we gotta hire this vacuum truck, the vacuum truck.
That's why the first two were so expensive, because we had to have they had to hydro excavate first.
And those are like 25 grand a piece.
That's like,
$300,
their hourly
yeah,
rate
yeah.
is pretty high. I think it was like 4,400 bucks.
It almost doubles the dig with, but watching it, I mean, you can see the equipment.
So, Bo, you just got done saying, I think I heard you right. that
Yeah.
50% of the water never reaches our reservoirs. Is that what you said?
Right.
So that's non-revenue water?
No,
No,
some of that's usage, so it's getting used before it gets there. You know, people,
So you gotta be able to figure out how much gets used before it gets there to figure out what.
that's what I'm saying by putting.
Pretty much. It's a hilltop tank, out of a hilltop. We got about 230 gallons a minute, 8 o'clock in the morning, 230 gallons a minute. Ox, about 400 GPM. And
Right.
there is another 1,000 gallons that never gets there. 1,000 gallons a minute. So
All these
about
houses-
50-60% never hits those tanks.
So that all these homes, they're being pressurized just by the pumps.
No, there's,
Oh, the tanks keep back pressure on the system, but water doesn't flow uphill. They're pumped from Walter, so they're all pressurized to get to the tanks.
the tanks have Hilltop and Lanier having the common inlet and outlet. They're both providing gravity pressure, back pressure, so they're pushing against one another. Alters is pushing into the district. So it's not just a pump station that's pressurizing certain pressure zones. So like Hilltop pressure zone, yes, that's coming off Hilltop pump station. The pressure zone 6 in the summertime, that's all off Inverness. Now you have like around Lake Hills area, and you have pressure coming in off of Oxbow, gravity pressure coming in off that, supplemented by St. Andrews. Pretty much everything east of Main Street, there's no pump station east of Main Street. That's all gravity pressure and line pressure taking care of everything that way. So that's where he's saying all the flow meters that we have are either on the tanks or on pump stations. So where he's saying to implement these into different areas, we have a large chunk of the district that we don't have any flow meters. So like we can't accurately track what water's going where in that large area that's not being served by a pump station.
I think we got it. Further questions, Director? No. Thank you. Director Graves, you've been very patient. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were done. You're just warming up. Okay,
The first one.
great.
The water main replacement from Wicks Lane west to Bitterroot. That's gonna be, it's proposed to be done with the city of Village. Wicks Lane west.
East.
Bitterroot is that way.
Right, but it's coming west.
Yeah, Bitterroot.
Better
Hawthorne.
access to.
So,
And Hawthorne is.
Yeah.
yeah, so it's between Hawthorne and Bitterroot.
Right. On Wicks.
Wicks Lane, Hawthorne Lane to Bitterroot, yes.
We're on the same page.
Good. The city is gonna be replacing sidewalk, curb and gutter. And there's a couple assumptions that were made. One is that the surface restoration within the right of way is assumed to occur with the roadway improvements. And that's gonna be paid by the city of Billings. And no surface restoration is included in their estimate. Also, the estimate assumes that there's no increase in water main sizing. In other words, they will allow us to replace the 80 with an 80. We can't upsize it. But we're planning on upsizing it.
That would come down to a hydraulic analysis to see if it's warranted.
Because it's written in their contract or in their estimate that it's gonna stay the same.
Should we respond to that letter?
Why
Did that
would
letter,
we care?
is that something new?
No,
Because
that was on this
right, but that goes back some time, doesn't it? That's several months
A
old.
week or so ago.
No,
The assumptions are on the bottom that I just read.
he just sent
Yeah,
it.
it came
Oh.
last Friday, I think.
Well, typically, if we went from 8 to 10, the change in cost would not be drastic. I doubt it. But like Josh says, we should look into it with Interstate to do the hydraulics. But typically, we have always upsized when we do this.
Why would our cost share change if we're replacing our main?
We'd have to propose that to them.
I said, I don't, why that would change what they're doing. Whether we put in
Well,
8,
they-
10 or a 12.
What's different with this project, they're going to do the whole
They're
thing,
gonna do the whole project,
so we are not doing anything.
just like on the.
Well, that last stretch we did with them,
From Bitter
how
to
big,
the river.
what size was that?
That was.
That was
huge.
8.
Did we do hydraulic modeling then?
It was modeled there when the trailer park went in. Was it not?
That was upsized from 6 to 8, because, yeah, it was undersized.
So we did go from 6 to 8.
We did go from
That's
6 to
right.
8 on Bitterroot from. Or on Wicks from Bitterroot east.
And there's some open land in between there where there can be some more development too.
But
Well, that's what I was
to
thinking.
answer the question, let's have the engineers get involved in
Okay.
it, because the decision to do that is now.
But let's not do it now. Let's wait until the new manager is on and
That
deciding.
should be looked at because that's,
You're on their schedule.
But when are they planning to do it?
it's
Next summer.
next summer.
Summer of 27. Well, it's there,
It'll be here before we know it.
So
yes,
what-
it will.
What's it from Main Street to Hawthorne?
It changes. It goes, I think it's 10-inch. Here. I don't remember off the top of my head, but there's a stretch of 10. And then it reduces. I think it reduces to 8 on the east side of Hawthorne.
Okay, so let's do this. Well, why don't you send an email to Interstate asking them for a firm price? No, not to exceed for modeling that.
Yeah.
What is it, a quarter mile, a half mile?
Half mile.
Okay, and then forward that to the board quickly. And, they can get it done quick and at a price that's acceptable, we can pull the trigger and move on, so. But I don't wanna start these open-ended contracts again. Let's ask them for a proposal not to exceed.
And we're one more, which is the capital improvement project, which comes out of the new congressional CDS spending. Congressional directed spending. This is all already. That was in the report.
He did the SRF.
Yeah, we did this.
No.
We did the approval for it.
Because we even think Pam for all the.
I won't give a report on that.
Yeah, we.
I won't give a report.
Okay, we
I
got
was
it.
asked to, but I won't do that. It's fine.
We gave this report.
No, I didn't. I did not.
I love watching mom and dad.
Okay, yeah, we got that. The CDS was covered in
Right.
10 feet, but we didn't that cover. Thank you, Director Kelly. Okay, Director Graves, rate case.
You got,
Tell us what you've been up to.
you got all the information in the packet about it. We researched for people to do rate studies. We let number one go. They were number one on the list. And this FCS Bowman is number 2. And they put in there what water and different things they're working for. They were very honest with me, because when I called them and talked to them, they immediately dug up that they had worked for us. I can't remember exactly 10 years ago or something. And then they also worked for the city, but it was on stormwater and that part. So they pointed all that out. They're in the Northwest. They go from Seattle, Washington out to South Dakota. And they had everything in the proposal there. Number 3 would not return any phone calls. And then we met with 2 other groups and they both backed out because you could tell from their email that it was above their pay grade and they were really interested in doing it. Did I leave anything out? Director Perry. And they worked on it immediately. And the resolution, if we need to vote on the resolution. To approve the recommendation, thank you. I can read that after this. And anyway, do you have anything to add, President? Husband?
The, well, interestingly, this. This firm was also, recommended to us by GMP. Who we're working with. They do a lot of work with them in terms of their capacity. They've done a lot of work, frankly, in terms of analyzing proposals for consolidation. And I thought, well, that may be of use, because we don't know what's going to be coming from Director DeRay and her consultants. We can either go in unarmed in the negotiations or go in with some backing. So, you know, we've got a fiduciary duty to our customers here to be educated and make a sound decision, whether it's we recommend consolidation or recommend against it. I don't, you know, we don't have a proposal, we may not get one, who knows? But in any case, I think, it appeared to me they have tended to work in markets that are much smaller and more typical to our size versus the big guys like Raftellus. So I'm hoping, and I believe, you know, that they've got the capacity to do a thorough job, and we don't have much time between now and July 1 to get something done. If we firm up a number for the Wicks Lane upgrade, we firm up you know, the SRF, we should know that by July, you know, by June, according to what Morrison Mayerly has indicated to us. You know, those will be debt services that have to go in, and the big thing, Bo, is gonna be getting they want a comprehensive data in terms of our customer usage, so they can, you know, do a water rate modeling. We don't want to overwhelm them with data. We just want to give them what they want, so that they can cover what your concerns are, which is covering the debt, covering our O&M, you know, and trying to, we can cover our expenses under the contract, but do so in a way that we don't, you know, kick conservation to the point we're actually digging a hole. So that's the issue, you know, and that's gonna be a tough needle to thread. I wouldn't want to try to tackle that myself, I'm telling you. So from that standpoint, I think this would be money well spent in
And
the
they
long run.
They were prompt. You know, and we were getting worried, and I called up Scott and the other gentleman, and right away, we'll have it to you by Friday, and it was there on Friday. And every time I called them, I spoke to Scott, or I spoke to the gentleman in charge, that they didn't, you know, it wasn't, they know what they're doing, and they made, you know, they want you to know and be satisfied with what they're doing.
Thank you, Director.
Mr. Chairman, if it's not out of order, I'd like to make a resolution to approve rate committee's recommendation for FCS to engage the firm and authorize execution of the contract. Page 52.
And there was a blank left in there, was there not?
$49,050, I believe, that's from memory.
I just remember the big one.
Yeah.
So your motion would be to put that number in that.
$49,050,
50 or 500?
no, 50.
49,050.
Yep.
Okay, that's the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Director Urbanbach. Is there discussion? Director Evil.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think this company sounds like they know what they're doing. I think to hire him now to have something done by July. We got too many balls in the air right now. How we're gonna catch them all, there's just too much stuff going on. The city's already told us, or well, something about 28% increase. We know that it's about 55% of the cost for the district, so we could take 55% of the 28, put it on in July, have these guys do the rate study after July when things settle down. And then bring it back to us for July next year. We wouldn't lose anything. But right now, there's just too many changes going on, too much stuff going on. We're in the middle of going with a different engineering outfit. We're in the middle of getting a new manager. All kinds of stuff, and I think it's just too much, too fast. And like I said, I think they sound really good, and I think we should go with them, but I think it can be done at a later date. When stuff settles down more and we have a better look at what's going on. We got a organizational study going on. We don't know what's gonna come out of that.
Director Carey.
Mr. President, I'm not opposed to what Frank is saying here. However, they've given us a price. And if we give them a date, in other words, contract them to start on this after July 1. And if we're way off bat on the, the percentage, the 15%. As soon as their rate's done, we can either refund our customers some money. Or
If we had a refund, but then, I don't know.
that would make the refund a lot less. And not make them not grab so much out of their wallet.
You know, what I'm worried about is the issues that he raised, which is a proper allocation of those, of the costs. And, the Raptella study attempted to do that, but the board didn't trust their allocations. It didn't adopt them. And, so I think that potential inequity is still there. I mean, what I worry about mainly is I believe we still have a flat rate for big meters. Like the one going in for the apartment complex going in right next door.
There's no flat.
On
There's a monthly base rate, but it's volumetric. It's an inclining block system.
it does increase.
The only flat rates are bulk water sale and irrigation.
Even bulk goes up, doesn't it, after so many?
Bulk is flat rate.
But we don't have any data that shows that the allocation is correct. That's the problem. So I think we're legally exposed. Myself, Director Ellis.
Well, I agree with you and I agree with Frank. But the thing is, I think the other thing is when to start needs to depend on the interim manager that we hire will have a wealth of experience. The organizational study may have a huge impact. The person that we bring in, whether it's the interim or the permanent, can best tell us. I mean, if we say, okay, you've got this tons of paperwork to get ready for the audit, and then you've got to prepare the rate study without the audit and without the organizational study, it doesn't seem possible. I mean, if they feel that they can do it, that's fine, but I think it's too much at this point. We don't have enough solid data. I agree. I think there's problems with the system development fees did not follow Montana law, so that's a problem. The fire fees that we're charging are 5 times what the city billings charges. I don't think that's defensible. I think there's a lot of problems. And I think it's good to do the rate study, but you've got to do it when you have the data. And we don't know when that data will come in. The organizational study will come back pretty quick, but then we have to make decisions, and that may or may not impact the budget.
Well, as I understand it, The only data they've asked for is our customer consumption, and we've got that. It's all in a big spreadsheet that went to 1889. We just need to distill it down to, one column from that.
But that's not the only thing that's wrong. We did not follow Montana law for system development fees.
Well, that,
And Andrew Ring's point was, well, you can interpret the law differently. No, you can't. The law is pretty clear and we didn't follow it. And the fire line fees are not defensible. You can't charge 5 times what the city charges and say that that's our cost of operation. It certainly is not. So there's a lot of issues, but the other thing is, yes, our consumption is one thing, but we have very high operational costs. And we don't have exact numbers on that because our audit got delayed. We've got new staff coming in.
well, yes, but our budget is, as you just said, within 2 or 3% of where it was before we started.
For our current organization.
Correct. So, but when you've got a high number of fixed costs and a low number of variables, I mean, the question is, are the big things that are gonna move between now and the next budget would be the debt service and the bill we get from the city. That's about it. Those 2 items and whatever we spend on capital. So those 3 items. Some will be cash, some will be debt. The rest of it is, what is, most of these expenses look like they're kind of on autopilot for me, except for when we start doing some new projects. So,
Well, the system development fees require by law that you bring in professionals from the public, and that can't be done by a team that's coming out of anywhere. That has to be done with the management at this district, and that hasn't been done. So that's another liability that's facing us.
I'm not sure that if you read their proposal, it's on pages.
Right, it doesn't address the system development fee, and it needs to.
Exactly.
And it needs to, because
Well, that you just pointed out, that's gonna take some time, and it's not being addressed in this one, because it's gonna take some time.
well, then maybe,
That was the committee's discussion with them.
we need
there
to
was-
drop it.
Well, so we continued, we're gonna impose a 14% rate increase with no data to back it up.
Well, let's do 5%.
That's gonna.
Well,
What do you put the
challenge.
14% on? Do you put the 14% on the base rate? Do you put it on the volumetric rate? Where do you spread that 14%?
Well, last year
Last year, we put it,
you put 12.5 on everything, and they only raised it 12.2.
we left the base rate alone. We put it on the volumetric. But again, Jeff's point, if you wanted to start throwing that in there, you have the inequities that Bo had pointed out. How are you gonna make that a legally defensible rate? If you
It's-
don't have somebody that comes in and says, this is why this customer class, this meter size is getting charged this amount, this is why.
I'm not arguing about that. I'm just saying, we can't keep all the balls in the air at the same time.
No,
No.
that's what he's saying. You have the data to support that stuff.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna require extra data from our staff.
Well-
Once they provide the consumption data for the customers, then it's all modeling on the part of the contractor, and the more complicated stuff they put off till the next biennium. That was part of our discussion.
Well, there's nothing complicated about the fire line. You can see how out of line it is. That has to change.
Well, we have to start somewhere. So the question is, are we gonna do nothing? Are we gonna do something? So Director.
Yeah.
Director.
I've done a lot of studies on the 2025 in great detail because I know we have to conduct this. And let me tell you, the way we're doing things right now, the rates are screwed up, okay? You do need to hire this firm, okay? Lots of opportunities there. Now, so the volumetric is simple, the value. But to distribute the cost of this operation equally based on M1, don't wait for the next manager to solve it. This is Sesame Street. This firm will help you. And so 37,000 will be very well spent, trust me. Because you've got a problem right now.
Thank you. Well, further discussion? Seeing none, Vice President Carey, would you call the roll?
I was gonna ask if they would just,
Yeah,
there was no second
I'll second the motion.
for the,
Did he make us, he didn't, I didn't hear a motion.
Oh,
He didn't make a motion.
You just.
The motion on the floor
Agree.
is to adopt the resolution with the blank filled in at 49050, which was made by
What page?
Carey, seconded by
Urban
Erkenbach.
Director Ellis,
Well, I support hiring the firm. I just don't support the time schedule. So is that laid out in the resolution? I don't
Yes,
have-
this is for this.
Okay, so I'm gonna say no,
Okay.
if that's the timeline.
Newell,
No,
Director Urbanbach,
I'm gonna say yes.
and I am yes. Director Graves,
Yes.
President Esmond,
Yes,
the
motion passes 4-2.
two.
Thank you. Okay.
President,
Yes.
I'll send you my studies on 2025, and then you will see what I'm talking about.
Thank you.
And I'll send you, and also the spreadsheets, you can play around with the numbers. But it's all there.
So I'm gonna ask in terms of the priority years of the time you've got left. That
This
those
is very important.
fulfilling their data requests be at the top of that list.
Right.
Is that okay with you?
Yeah, I started already.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you very
no,
much.
no, I
sir.
started.
Okay, let's move to new business. Josh, you have an ordinance for us. Would you like to present it?
It's just the list of properties that have been annexed into the districts since 2024. And that exhibit is just there's the stock boilerplate ordinance language that is required, and then the exhibit that is required to be submitted with it.
Thank you very much. How do you identify these properties for inclusion in the exhibit is my question.
Those are the ones, so when I bring you an annexation packet for you to approve, that's what those are.
Okay. So this is just tying the bow then.
Yep,
And is this 2 years worth? Because we haven't submitted an ordinance for 2 years.
yeah, I think the last one was in 23,
Okay, so this is 24 and 25 and
yeah,
26?
or no, it's 24, yeah. There hasn't been a whole
Right.
ton of them, so it's kind of holding on to them to make it worth the process.
Okay,
Okay. Can I have a motion?
Move ratification of the ordinance for the annexation of the properties into the district.
Second it.
Motion by Director Carey, seconded by Director Graves. Director Ellis, you had a question about
Well,
whether we have to do this?
we
once
do
or
have to
twice?
do it. Yeah, this is we need to approve it for the first reading. An ordinance has to be done twice by law.
So this is the first reading.
Yeah.
Okay. So the motion then will be to approve the first reading of this ordinance. Okay. 001-26. Is there discussion, Director Evil?
so. Why isn't this done like every year?
We have,
Probably
it's,
should.
it was just keeping them in, instead of doing it. Duke did it a couple of different ways. Sometimes he would wait until he had kind of a stockpile of them and then do it. And then Peyton started trying to do it annually.
So does this put them on the voter rolls for ice water or?
It just shows that they're the inclusion into the district.
It puts them on the voter rolls because we have not done it. I ran into several blocks that did not get ballots because they weren't on the map. So it's critical that it be done every year.
Or we'll just make a mental note for the 27 spring elections roll around to get one done again.
Yeah.
Okay. Further discussion? Seeing none, let's try a voice vote. All those in favor of passing the first reading of ordinance number 001-26 indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Motion passes unanimous. Next item on the agenda is adoption of a contract to employ an interim general manager. Resolutions on page 53. The contract is attached to the agenda at page 59. Would someone like to make the motion?
I make a motion on a resolution that authorize a contract for additional service by, I can't even talk, it's a general manager.
Is there a second?
I'll second
Motion by Director Gray, second by Director Ewald. And it is basically, I guess, what I would call a time and material contract.
Right.
So is there discussion? Director
Well,
Ellis.
just for information, when I talked to Greg originally about it, he pointed out that if we find out that we don't need 40 hours a week, but 35 hours, that's fine. You know, so the fees are high, but my understanding is that we have some really competent people that have applied to take this spot, so.
And we have, if this resolution passes, we'll have interviews on Tuesday
Tuesday.
morning, bright and early.
So this will go under 361 construction or excavation and contracts, huh?
Not if we have anything to say about. We're gonna take a look at the chart of accounts.
Should go to
General
administration.
manager Anderson is gonna send.
Yeah,
Perhaps we can find
That would be
a
one
number
thing.
to add to our chart of accounts. Okay, is there discussion? Seeing none, let's try a voice vote. All those in favor of adoption of resolution authorizing the contract for provision of services by an interim general manager indicate by saying aye.
I,
All those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Okay. I will get that executed and we'll proceed. We have, the next proposal is a revision of board and manager policies. That's at page 54 if you want to go there. Directors, I circulated this to you earlier. Basically, what this does is put into writing the recommendations from our board secretary that had been requested by Vice President Carey in terms of making her job easier. Carolyn and I had discussed this back and forth a number of times to tweak it so it's workable. And so that's what these changes in these policies adopt. Basically, we would need to get stuff to her by Wednesday afternoon. You know, I would work with her to get the agenda put together so she could get it, as much of it posted as possible by Friday at 5. If there's any straggling contracts or, you know, exhibits or whatever, and we have a history of having that happen, they can be added as late as a Monday to make our 48-hour deadline. So I think it's quite workable from that standpoint. So I will make a motion to adopt this change to section 3.02 agenda preparation.
Second.
Okay. Motion by Director Espin, seconded by Ewald. Is there discussion? Josh.
Just noting in there where it says requiring the financials by the 5th business day of the month. That seems kind of quick. As much where we're still waiting on certain statements, invoices, so bank rec might not even be done by the 5th business day. So the information that we would send you would not be the same information that would end up in the packet.
how do we invoice, if you're reconciling a bank statement, that you do that by only looking at what you've actually paid. If you haven't received an invoice, you couldn't have paid something. So I don't think that
Your
makes any
statement.
sense. I don't think you have invoices come in after a bank statement closes
Mm-mm.
to reconcile against. So it's just a question of whether the data entry doesn't need to wait till the bank statement comes to start that work. That can be an ongoing process. I do that myself. I know it's possible.
And the fifth of the month was what we agreed when we were at Associated Employers.
Well, that was a suggestion that was made, not
Well,
necessarily an agreed upon.
Well, but we're saying we'd like to have it. The information, the bank statement arrives by email.
So if it, just saying, if there are changes that happen between then and when we post this stuff, that could lead to confusion.
I don't see how there are changes after the bank statement comes.
Well,
Well,
Please,
What happened
how
last
that
year?
would happen.
Interstate took our city water payment out of our payroll account, 174,000, rather than our business account. So that required me to get involved with a manager at Interstate who said that, well, Jen did not get satisfactory answer. I wanted to have the entry reversed today. And it took some doing. So things have, this is very, very, very unusual. Normally, Interstate, it's not a problem. And but I could see where we might have a problem with Stiff. Normally, what Josh does, he calls up or look at the a webpage on Stifle, and so we will have the number. In my business, in the profit, I had my statements a lot faster than you have. But you know, your responsibility is a fiduciary responsibility policy. This is part of the operation. And if you had it 2 days after the month end, your obligation is oversight, not operation. So my point here is that, yeah, I realize what you need, but I used to be in the profit. A day or two makes a big difference. And I needed the information prompt. I don't see why you need it as promptly. We can do this. We can do anything you want us to do. The reason is why, and what's practical, and what does other nonprofit do. And like I said, your number one mission in life is oversight, setting policy. We execute, we make it work based on your policy. So if your policy is, we wanted the 5th day, business day, we'll make that work.
Well, I changed, you know, what was discussed with Brian was, you know, the 5th day of the month. This proposal is the 5th business day of the month. That means it's a full week
Right.
after the bank statement closes. So, you know, I think, you know, a week's worth of work should be, you know, 40 hours ought to be plenty of time to be able to reconcile, you know, 3 or 4 bank statements and gather the Stifle and the STIP accounts. My mind, you know, we're working diligently on it, so I think it's reasonable. Let's try it, you know, and if it, you know, becomes impossible to do, you know, I don't understand how money gets pulled from an incorrect account.
I don't
You know,
either,
when
and they didn't either.
it's the responsibility of the person
was-
in this building to indicate where it gets pulled from.
And it was.
And it was not our fault. I apologize to,
If
but
they- if they
things
can't-
things happen. And in business, I don't come to you when I have an issue, okay? I make it happen.
Well, I appreciate that,
This
but
is
if
the
they're not
problem.
getting the job done.
Yeah.
Then we need to reexamine our banking relationship. I don't.
Yeah,
know.
this is
We're
pretty
not
bad.
We're not tied to
This is
them by
pretty
birth.
This is pretty bad. But anyway, I don't come with every little things that happen during the month. Trust me. My job is to get it done. So you say 5 business days, that can be done. But we just have to send some of the process. But as far as the bank account, hey, that's a no-brainer. Okay. But consolidate the statement and double check and the quality of the work product. I have to review the financial statements before they go to you. If you want the push bump statistics and the information, you will get it. If you want to brain power to the information, it might take another day, but it's worthwhile waiting for quality information.
Okay, what day would you like, what day would you suggest?
I'm saying we will accomplish, we'll make it work.
Let's
We'll
let's
add that.
let's just, let's
We'll make it work.
let's vote on it, and then if the new staff have trouble, we can come back and revisit.
We have a motion?
By,
Okay.
yourself,
Okay,
second by, Director Ewald.
okay. We'll give it a go, and if it does, if it becomes unmanageable, that's why we tried to have the meeting stuff all done, a full week before the board meeting, and found that just wasn't working for us, so this is an attempt to change that, so let's pass the good part, be willing to try the other part and see if it works, so. All in favor of adoption of the revision of board and manager policies? Indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? Nay. Motion passes. Okay, the last item on the new business agenda is the first hearing on the proposed revision of bylaws. That is on page 55. And this is a rewording of just one section of Article 8 of our bylaws policies with respect to general manager responsibilities. So can I have someone offer a motion?
So I'll make a motion that we accept the general manager revised amendment to Article 8, offices and duties of the administrative personnel.
Is there a second?
Presented.
Second.
Motion by Director Ellis, second by Director Urbanbach. Is there discussion?
What were the changes?
There were some wording changes with respect to the changing that the board needs to approve job descriptions and duties and fixed compensation. We added job descriptions to that sentence as we're undergoing organizational analysis, and that could have some impact there. I added the word accurately to the responsibility of the general manager in terms of preparing the account, reviewing the accounting and auditing. We've got to have an accurate representation of our condition. That change is made. And then we added language at the end of it, asking the general manager to work with the board to positively promote the district with our partners, agencies, community organizations, customers, and community. So basically, this helps, spread the word about what we are doing to serve our customer base. So, but that pretty much summarizes the changes. Director Gary.
I'm going to be a no on this one. I don't believe it's the board's purview to write job descriptions. Other than our employee, which is our general manager. The general manager writes it for the rest of the folks, and if we wanna know what that is, we ask him and he tells us. So I will be a no on this.
Further discussion?
You also you struck the language of
The vice president,
the,
assistant manager.
yeah,
But those are details that are not important to these people.
So shall we vote? We may need to do a one by one vote.
Did you get a second?
Yeah.
Right,
are the,
that's right.
Director Ellis,
Yes,
Director Ewald,
Yes.
Director Urbanbach,
Yes.
Director Carey is a no, Director Graves,
No.
President Esmond.
Is a yes. Motion passes 4-2. So we will have to review this again at another meeting under our policy in terms of bylaw reservations, so. There's always an opportunity to make changes, after another month of consideration, so. Let's continue to think and listen to our customers, okay?
so is that,
This is just the first hearing on this.
so the current language still stands, right?
It is still, it's still our line.
Does that conflict with hiring a new interim?
No, it doesn't, because we're gonna fill it, so your services won't be needed in that regard.
I'm just saying, just for,
You cannot
the-
force us to hire.
I'm not saying to hire me, I'm just saying following the letter of your own law, your own rules. So nobody else is coming in saying, well, you didn't follow your own rules. I'm not saying hire me, God, no.
well, we followed up when Bo was on vacation, you then become acting interim manager, but when there's a longer gap. Then the board always has the option to hire somebody else. That doesn't make sense for vacation for. Anything else, but it made sense during this time, because we don't know when the end point is. When we could
That's
get a
fine.
permanent person on board.
Okay, we've got a couple of items in an email from General Manager Anderson this afternoon. Consideration for future board meetings. I think we've got a pretty full plate as it is, so let's let that settle for the next week before I start working on that.
But do get the ordinance on there, so we don't forget that.
For this bylaw second reading.
Yeah,
We'll make those. And I'll try to figure out what that schedule of presentation is based upon policy
okay.
changes we adopted tonight, so I can get it to you and. But I do think our plate is. Pretty full, so, let's just, I think we'll have a lot of old business. Reports and actions, I don't think we need to add much new at this point. We've got to hear from. Interstate engineering in terms of a price not to exceed for the.
Hydraulic modeling.
hydraulic
For the
modeling
hydraulic
on
modeling
how to
on that.
concept.
Do you wanna contact them as well about the zone meter situation? While we're
Yeah,
at
I
it?
haven't done it in official capacity, but I throw it out to him and he thought it was good. I thought in the article.
Why don't you ask for
Yeah.
a number on
Okay.
that too? Okay? Because at this point, they probably would have the best idea on where to put those babies. Between them and John, so Director Kirkenbach.
Well, Director Ellis and you all and myself talked about forming a committee to look at the budget. And some of the ramifications of that budget, and I don't know if that's something you wanna put on for next month or.
If you want to get started, you might as well get started right now. If you want to make the motion that three of you take up that, if you're willing to take up that task and get the other three of us would be happy to let you do that. We have got plenty. We all have plenty to do. So.
I'll make that motion then if we form a committee, a budget committee.
composed of Ewald, Ellis, and Erpenbach. Okay, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Ellis, is there discussion? Director Ewald,
Erpenbach becomes chair.
okay,
That's what you get for having a county degree.
I think Director Erpenbach considered that to be an unfriendly amendment, but it's gonna go on the. It's gonna go on the vote.
That wasn't an amendment, that was just a discussion.
Okay. Okay, all those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Thank you for being good volunteers. So, thank you. General Manager Anderson, we want to thank you for your service to the district. This is our last public meeting with you in that regard.
I mean, that's.
Thank you,
You
sir.
have made a
Together anyway.
very positive contribution in terms of adopting a great number of good policies in writing that will help future general managers of this organization. I want to thank you for that contribution.
And I had mentioned to Josh too, I've worked a lot on the budget 27. And lots of statistical information, and Josh knows my files, how I organize things. And even though I quit March 31, Tuesday, I will continue to assist whatever they need as far as statistics. Because I remember when I got here, it wasn't too much of the statistical, and I'm very, very concerned, of course, by the non-revenue water. That is a program you have to continue. So I will set Josh up on that
Okay,
schedule.
yeah, and please communicate all those thoughts on the
Yeah,
budget ideas to the committee reappointment.
yeah,
tonight.
I have
So-
started one,
Yeah,
so,
very good.
yeah.
This printout that we were discussing first thing tonight, that's Black Mountain.
Yeah,
So do they have a list of categories that we could change some of that stuff? Like I agree very much with you, excavation and rat killers do not belong the same. Because you don't.
Right.
Yeah.
but you can't have an account for every Tom, Dick, and Harry. So you gotta have buckets. The question is, how do you want to identify that bucket? Like oranges or apple, or we put all the orange in this bucket. And in this bucket, like Jeff said, there were bananas and all sorts of damn things. So I will send that to you. You can take a look at it.
You can look that way.
Can you also tell us a little bit more about Nadine? About Nadine?
Yeah.
We didn't give us any
First-
information.
First week is it? And they're getting along famously. I like her. And she's almost like a Susie, isn't she? She's quick, fun, and her background is very similar, but she worked for a power company and did summer gas, did similar things. But I don't think she hung out a window talking to a customer taking cash. But based on what I see and hear, she's doing fabulous, don't you think? So she's beyond expectation. You know how new people are, they don't it's but she is just hitting the ground running. So I think we got a winner there.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay, meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
5-6 minutes to go.
But that's. What?